Let's look at understanding the self in early childhood education. And so we're really going to frame a lot of our exploration of social and emotional development as looking at how children understand themselves. Because this is when they really begin to start to develop their self-concept. They are trying to figure out who they are. And at the beginning of this, it is quite a process. They begin to look at the way they're interacting with others. There are two different theories on this. Cooley suggested that it's the looking glass self, so they really examine themselves and look at how others see them. And Mead looked at how we move from it being kind of this concept of I that's very egocentric to me, how others see me. And early childhood is often very exaggerated. Children seek to get validated. They want to be the biggest, the fastest, the best, the strongest. They really want to have kind of that superiority in order to feel good about themselves, which leads right into self-esteem, right? So self-esteem is the judgment that we make about who we are. So we define ourselves, and then we think about our self-esteem. And at this age, it starts out really concrete. It's about our physical traits. It's about the things we like to do. It's about the things that we enjoy. So, this young boy here might really talk about himself as being a good soccer player. Self-esteem generally is positive in early childhood, but they are able to have negative self-evaluations. And there's been some research that even shows that maternal negative affect or emotions negatively affect children's self-esteem. So it's not that it's all positives, but it does tend to be positive, and they may even block out things that don't contribute to that positive self-esteem because it doesn't match who they want to be. Self-control is also really important at this age, and it's something that takes many, 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 many years to develop, and it's not a simple thing. It means that they have to have response initiation, which is the ability to not initiate your response until you've gotten all the information that you need to do that. Response inhibition, which means you stop the behavior that's begun, right? You start to react and you stop yourself. And delayed gratification, so waiting for that bigger reward rather than going straight for the small reward, right? So there was an experiment a long time ago about will a child not eat a marshmallow if left alone in the room? And I don't remember in this specific instance, but to put it in this delayed gratification, you might tell that child, if you don't eat this marshmallow, when I come back, you can have 5. Right? So delayed gratification, if that's developed, they'll be able to say, I don't want that 1 marshmallow. I'm going to wait because I want 5. If they don't have that full delayed gratification, that 1 marshmallow is just too hard to resist, and they would gobble that up because they needed it now. And they've also done some research that shows that play supports self-control. And so I was trying to find some pictures, and who knows if she was told she could not or could jump in this puddle. But I know that there are times that I look at a puddle and I have to have self-control and decide how I want to behave and what clothing I'm wearing and where I'm going next. Erickson's stage also helps us understand children's sense of self at this age. So look at the face on that little boy, right? He's beaming. He is so proud of himself. And so when we put children in an environment where they're able to explore, where they're able to make decisions, where they're able to choose what to do, they're able to achieve what we call initiative, right? They take action on the world. But if they're in a world where they're heavily criticized, their behavior is strongly controlled, they're going to develop a sense of guilt, and that's going to cause issues moving forward. You know that Erickson believed that we have to resolve these crises as we progress through each stage, and so we want to allow children to achieve this sense of initiative, that they are capable, that they can do things, they can make choices, they do have control. And then the last thing I wanted to look at with the sense of self is gender identity, gender constancy, gender roles, and because that is an important part of who children see themselves. And so most children feel a really strong sense of needing to develop an understanding of who they are as a boy or a girl. And that involves looking at what makes a boy and what makes a girl and what those differences are. Often we kind of go to the extremes, and so these images came out of the book as a very stereotypical, I'm the boy, I'm confident, I'm, I'm ready to take on the world. And the girl, might need to be, whether you're looking at the mother or the daughter, the adult or the child in the situation, the comforter, the socializer, wearing the skirts, right, or the tutus. And so often children have very rigid ideas of what a boy or a girl can be that they have to navigate during this time. And as they do that, their gender identity leads to some sort of gender constancy, right? They understand that that if they are a boy, they're going to stay a boy. If they are a girl, they are going to stay a girl. And then when we look at gender roles, our society tells us a lot about what is acceptable behavior based on gender. And that begins way in infancy, right? Maybe even before that, and continues way into adulthood. So it's not something that necessarily ends. That socialization happens through reinforcement and modeling. And while some stores have tried to break away from it, when you walk into many stores, you're still going to see shelves that look like these. The girl toys are all packaged in pink and purple, and the boy toys are going to be in your more primary colors, and they're going to try really hard to avoid pink, because boys that have been socialized that pink is associated with girls don't find that packaging as appealing, right? So they're looking at what sells toys. And so that's just kind of one example of gender stereotyping and gender roles that we're socialized to believe. All of the things that we learn about gender become our gender schemas, right? How we understand gender. And I have a feeling that when we look at this section of the textbook in 5 years, this section is going to look a little different, because we're recognizing the damage that gender stereotypes do. And we're also acknowledging that there are children that don't fit neatly into the boy and girl boxes, or that were put in a box that doesn't fit for them. And those children experience gender dysphoria, right? That the gender that they feel doesn't match the external and physiological components of sex that they were assigned at birth. And so that is looked more in later chapters, and we'll explore that more. But these are all kind of things that children during this age range are looking at as they try and figure out who they are and how they feel about that.